I am Susan Robinson and I work on Sanderson Suite at St Helens Hospital, which is a day surgical unit. I've worked on here for about 10 years and I've been qualified for about 30, and I've always worked in surgery. Last October, November time, I was asked to become involved in a working group together with some staff from Wiston, because obviously St Helens and Wiston hospitals are the same trust. So I became involved in a working group with some managers and staff from the urology ward over there, and consultants, anaesthetists, in how patients who are having transurethral resection of bladder tumours, which we shorten to TURBT, could be done more as a day case rather than as an overnight or potentially longer stay. So it was started in October of last year and then sort of ground to a bit of a halt because of COVID and people being redeployed again and not doing as much surgery over the winter period. And in March we picked back up again, and because we're on a day unit, we've had more patients listed to come to us for TURBT surgery. So I developed an audit tool so we could see how they were managed on the unit, and we got the rest of the staff involved so that they know if a patient comes in for TURBT. I've got an audit form and it's basic with patients' details on when they came in, when they went to surgery, when the catheter comes out, when they pass urine, when they go home. It's all stuff that people can fill in so that I have an idea on how we're managing, and a number of the patients that are coming through the unit, who's going home the same day, and if they're not, why not. It's better for the patients because they come in, and most patients generally don't want to stay in, and obviously if they have to be chosen correctly. Obviously the bladder tumour has to be of a certain size to come in, and the patients that come to Sanderson Suite have to be fit to have an anaesthetic, or they have a spinal anaesthetic. So, and it's much better for the patients if they can go home, because obviously that's, you know, where you want to be. You don't really want to be in hospital overnight. Plus obviously the trust then have beds freed up in the acute wards for patients that might need an acute bed, if we can do the patients over here on Sanderson. Our matron nominated me to go on to it because obviously we had the project going and had been involved in it, and to do the QI course you had to have an idea or a project that you were, you know, wanted to do or passionate about. So that's how I became involved in it, you know, so that I could see how I could develop and how we could move it forward, really. Well, I just think it's made me look at myself, really, because you sort of come in every day and you do your job, and you know, and I've always felt that I was always quite good at leading, but it's made me look at how I am as a leader and how other people have viewed me as a leader. So how to deal with people who you think you should get on board with something, who are a bit reluctant, and how you can sort of you know, encourage it. And I'm thinking, well, you know, I'm going to retire probably in the next 4 or 5 years, so it's passing the baton on, isn't it, as well? So at the minute, we've done about 20 patients, I would say, and I've got the results in, you know, in a file from the ones we've done. And I must say, out of the 20, I think we've got 17 home. So we've not really had to keep people in. And in fact, only one man stayed in, because you have to have somebody to stay with you overnight after an anaesthetic, and he didn't. So he stayed in purely because he didn't have anybody at home to look after him, just to be with him. So my next part that I want to look at is, have the patients had any problems once they've gone home? Because obviously we're discharging them. Have they been okay? Have they passed urine okay? Did they feel confident to go home? Did they feel that they knew what to do should they have a problem? So that, I think, is going to have to be, start phoning patients up maybe a day or so after and say, were you okay? And take it from there, because I think that'll be the next part that I need to look at. Like Jane said, we've got a lot out of it because we've learnt lots of different models and techniques, and you know, I think it sort of puts things into perspective, which you sort of know about, or you think you know about, but you're not sure whether you are going down the right line. But they've, you know, been able to put us on the right line, and the small little groups that we've broken out into, they've been great because we can feed off one another, and we met other people and they had other difficulties doing their project. So those breakout groups were really, really helpful in, you know, just being able to feed off other members of the team, really.